I heard it from one of my cousin, and he asked me to learn machine learning from a metallurgy and material science background, right? So we didn't use coding at all, right? I mean, none at all. I was rejected in 12 and 13 interviews, campus interviews. Wow. Right? You can expect, easily expect more than 12. Also, I was working in a CRM firm, right? As a working professional, you don't have that much of a time, right? That he was completing a law, right? And he has prepared for data science. He has acquired all skills of data science. The two most thing that I learned was discipline and consistency. Because basically everything Accenture is doing related to data science comes under that particular team of Accenture AI.
Hello data lovers, I hope you all are doing super amazing. So I am back with another amazing podcast for aspiring data scientists, and the story of this data scientist is super fantastic because he actually graduated in 2020 when pandemic hit and it ruined everything for everyone, and he actually did his bachelor in metallurgy and material science, which is completely non-CS field. He had a really hard time while learning the programming part. In the initial days, his parents actually went through typical financial challenges for his education, and after completing his graduation he worked for a year in the CRM domain. So very interesting transition story because he is now currently working as a data scientist in Accenture AI. I'm not sure how many of you know about the Accenture AI. You definitely know about the Accenture. So that's why this podcast is going to be really amazing for you. You will definitely learn a lot from it. So make sure you watch it till the very end. How did he actually complete this transition? He will share everything, the important resources, the interview process part for the Accenture AI, the data science jobs in the consultancy firms, the service-based firm, how this whole interview process looks like, how can you even kickstart your data science journey if you are a recent graduate, proper guidance and salary related insight. So next 30 minutes going to be super amazing, and at the end of this video, let me know in the comment section your key takeaways from this video. Alright, so thank you so much Shubhankit for joining me in this podcast, and very exciting because after some time again I'm featuring someone who is basically from the data science background, and that too this time not like mind-blowing product-based companies but also to give you the glimpse of data science, how it works in service-based companies as well. But it would be really great, Shubhankit, if you can give a short introduction about yourself and help my audience to understand more about your past background and professional background.
First of all, thank you, Shashank, for having me here. It's a great opportunity for me to talk to someone who have followed a lot, right? So Shashank, I belong to a small town in Madhya Pradesh, 𝗗𝗲𝗄𝗃, right? It's a small religious town, lot of nature, right? And I completed my graduation from NIT Jaipur in field of material science and metallurgy. And then I got campus placed in one of CRM firms, and after a year working there I switched to Accenture AI, where I'm currently working as a data scientist.
Okay, very interesting. So looks like someone is coming from a metallurgy and material science background, and also let me know how many of you belong to that MP location, right, where even Shubhankit also belongs to. How many of you are watching podcast from there? Let me know in the comment section. You are a 2022 graduate, and again graduating from a kind of field which is not into the CS and have no relation with the CS background, right? And also that 2020 was the year, right, the most scariest year, right, as a human being, which we all could relate, right? It ruined at least everything for most of us, but especially the student, right? So it was a really scariest year. So coming from non-CS field, when and how did you come to know about the data science, and how did you build your interest in it? Because this is the question I receive from the freshers a lot, that how we can decide whether we should pick data science or any other profile in the big data domain.
So Shashank, what I have seen in myself, and talking to other students as well, that most students hear about data science from some external sources, which might not be that much of relevance, right? You might see it in an ad, you might listen it from someone. So same is mine, right? I heard it from one of my cousin, and he asked me to learn machine learning, right? So he was working in US, right? And that time, the COVID time, as you said. So actually I was also fortunate that COVID didn't created that much of a chaos in my personal life, right? Because so many people were moving here and there. There's so many casualties and many things, but I was fortunate that it didn't create that much of a chaos in my life, right? So where I can just focus on my learning. So one of my cousins suggested me to learn machine learning specifically, and he asked me to learn learn from the mathematical perspective, because he knew that I am from a metallurgy and material science background, right? So we didn't use coding at all, right? I mean, none at all, right? Only in my first year I had coding as one subject, which I studied to just pass, right? Then we studied so he knew that, okay, I was kind of I would say I was scared of coding, right? I don't want to do it. So he told me to go from a mathematical perspective, because he knew that I had interest in mathematics, right? So I did actually some of the online courses of I would say the instructor's name also, because he's quite famous, Andrew Ng's courses, where he was just teaching the mathematics of machine learning, right? So I did deep learning is one topic. In that there is a particular topics of back propagation and forward propagation, right? So it's a whole big topic which is totally related to calculus, right? So I did that thing on pen and paper completely, right? Wow. So that that gave me a quite of interest, that okay, this is something that we are taught in our 11th and 12th. You see a lot of big questions of calculus, integration, differentiation, and the matrix algebra and vector algebra. And if you can remember that we used to find determinant of a matrix, and it went for 3-4 pages, right? But we didn't know what to do about it, right? So that point I saw, okay, that thing is being used here, and the topic was you are reducing the error, right? You're iterating step, reducing the error. So that relates to how a human learns, right? If a human baby learns to walk, right? So he walks, he falls, right? He turns a better position to place his foot, right? Again he falls, right? So that's the iterative step, and that interested me most. Yeah, this is something that we can learn, we can implement. It can be implemented in all of the fields. And then I tried started seeing the use cases of all. It's being used in a YouTube recommendation, okay, it's being used in my Netflix recommendation, it's being used in dynamic pricing or stock prediction. So yeah, that interested me a lot. And yeah, in my final year of college I just started looking for some of the things, but specifically for the first lockdown period I explored the field completely, right? I searched for all the easy resources that I could find, the YouTube videos and many other small things. But yeah, there were some problems in them. If I would say, the biggest problem was the content. It's scattered, right? You search for one one playlist, and it ends somewhere, and then you go for other playlist, and so that creates a little overwhelming response in a mind of student. Here there's a lot of things in it. So that was a problem I faced. And also I was working in a CRM firm, right? So as a working professional, you don't have that much of a time, right? So you don't 9 to 6 you cannot study that much, right? So those were some little problems. But yeah, I think that every student faces that.
I got to know about big data when I started my professional career. Like, at least you had the idea in the college itself, somebody suggested you. But in my first company, there were few teams who were working on big data, and from them I got to know about this big data world, and that was my starting point. So anyone who is having this kind of interesting story, how you got to know about the big data, let us know in the chat box. Let's see how you guys are exploring the other side of IT industry. So moving on to next question, Shubhankit. So you heard about data science from one of your cousins, right? And how did you pick up each required skill set? Because as you said, you were exploring all the free resources were there, but it was a bit scattered. So obviously you would have prepared a list of important skill set. Okay, I'll focus on this, then this, then this. So how did you pick up all those things, and what kind of skill sets, right, you were exploring in sequence? And again, important thing, what kind of challenge did you face while acquiring those skill sets?
Yeah, so Shai, I would say that I did the most obvious thing a person would do. I googled about it, right? Okay, what are the skill set required for data scientists, right? So it can give me a whole list, but now you don't know the weightage of each portion, right? It'll give you a list. Okay, you have to know a good command of one of the languages, mostly Python, and you have to have a really good command of a query languages, SQL. You have a good command of, let's say, visualizations. Then you have to have a machine learning, but you don't know what specific things to see, right? I have seen people learning a lot of data science. They're learning Python, they are learning the libraries of Python, then they started learning machine learning, but they don't know SQL, right? And when you start working, you'll have to fetch data from somewhere, then you'll do something on it, right? And to fetch data, you'll need SQL, right? So that was a problem that I faced, that we need someone to tell us, right, ki, okay, these are the skills that you know, that you have Google, fine. Now you have to study this, right? This particular topic you have to study. This topic will come after this topic. You cannot study deep learning before studying machine learning, right? That we need to understand, right? At that point, and also, you know, these were the technical aspects, and also the timing aspects for me was really important, right? Because as I said, I was working professional, right? So I'm working, you know, something like 9 to 6, 9 to 7, and now I don't have a time to search the resource, right? I just have a time to take some time off and study something. Let you know, give me a hand at coding, you know, make my hand dirty with some project or something, and then get back to my daily job next day, right? So I needed something there, and luckily I found a course also, right? I found AlmaBetter's course, right? Which, you know, which was quite you know, quite something like, you can say it filled all of my checklist, right? Yeah, these things can be done, these things can be done, right? So yeah, that was the one course that helped me a lot, you know. And yeah, I mean, it was also like a great experience to have, right? A proper training, industry relevant training program.
Awesome, cool. And first of all, thank you that you highlighted those important skill sets as well, right? At least to kickstart your data science journey. These are the 4 or 5 things majorly you need to focus on. And obviously, man, I can understand the challenges being a working professional. The hardest thing is to find that bandwidth, right? To upskill yourself. That is the most crucial part. And that is the point where most of the people just give up, right, on to the upskilling, because the work pressure and whole family things, right? To just maintain that balance, it becomes really hard. But kudos that you right, drove yourself from that situation. Currently you are working in Accenture AI as a data scientist, and after your college, right, as you mentioned, you started working in a CRM domain for a year, right? So how did you prepare yourself to become an industry ready data scientist and cracked a company like Accenture AI? Because maybe in the CRM domain, your day-to-day activities would have been really different, right? And sometimes they can also overshadow our learning pace, or we might take a different diversion. So how did you tackle that situation? How did you upskill? Just explain all those things to our audience.
I would say, you know, if you want to switch into data science from a particular domain, right, it won't be easy for you to like do a drastic kind of a switch, right? Let's say if I am working in a CRM domain, so I'm working as a consultant, you know, a junior level consultant, right? So, you know, for me, it would be better to go, you know, instead of going into data science, it will be better to incorporate data science in my work, right? So how would I do it? I'll go for analytical consulting role, right? So, you know, so that first of all, that why like what would the biggest advantage of it, that I will not waste 1 year of my consulting knowledge, right? Because although technology might be different, it might not interest you, but this you know, the communication skill set you get, how do you deal with clients, that all things in consulting, it's, you know, it's kind of a 40-60% weightage of consulting, right? So I didn't wanted to lose that particular skill, right? So what I did 2 things, right? First of all, I kept my learning hours and my work hours totally separate, right? Because my job was also important for me at that particular time, right? And you know, my learning was also important for me at that particular time, right? So you know, when I was training at AlmaBetter, we used to have classes you know, in the evening time, right? Maybe 8 to 10 or 7 to 10, you know, some things like that. So, you know, that were possible for me to attend. The other thing was, we used to have daily assignments, right? And the assignments thing was something like you know, you have to complete one assignment before the next class, right? So I used to complete the assignment in the morning, right? So, you know, that created a whole cycle, and then, you know, I can totally focus on my job, and then totally focus on the learning that I'm getting at AlmaBetter, right? And then when I you know, the search position I have, right? Okay, I want to go in that particular domain of data science, or that particular field of data science. So that was also something like analytical consulting, because I wanted to you know, utilize or improve over my consulting skill that I learned in the CRM domain. And, you know, that I would advise to, you know, almost every people, right? So recently I was talking to one of you know, one of my, I would say, connections on LinkedIn, right? And he was in law, right? So he completed his law, right? So I'm sorry if I'm deviating from topic, but, you know, this is a really good point. I recently got to know that he was completing a law, right? And he has prepared for data science. He has acquired all skills of data science, right, by some external sources, right? Now for him, if he I don't want him to, totally, forget about his law knowledge, right? So what I told him, what I suggested him, and what I like to see him do is to incorporate that knowledge of law into the field of data science somewhere. Maybe he can make a CNN tool, right, to read PDFs, right? He can make some algorithm to judge easy cases. He can, just like we have in medical, right? Those it's there in every field, right? Similarly, if somebody is working in a banking field, right, I'll ask him to go into the financial analytics of data science, right? Similarly, if you're in a field of sales, right, you might go in a maybe the supply chain, or maybe something else in field of data science, right? If you'll go for a drastic switch, then first of all you'll be wasting your domain knowledge, because when you say data science, so there is a big part of business domain in it, right? If you're a data scientist, then it's your responsibility to learn what the business is asking as well, and that's a rare skill, right? So you should utilize your domain knowledge there. So that's what I think I did, and AlmaBetter helped me a lot in that, right? Because we used to have good instructors and mentors, right? And so the what thing I have noticed is that in our education system, right, we are being taught something, and we are being asked to implement something else, right? So when you're learning from an industry professional, right, who was actually working as a data scientist, so he knows where to pay more attention to.
Correct.
Right? And you both have similar interest, right? He's working in data science because he's really curious about this field, right? And he's also learning his way, right? Or he or she maybe. And similarly, you also want to learn, right? You also want to see, and things is like, for example, there are some, there might be something. Let's take example of big data, right? So if I have some connection and they ask me, okay, I want to deal with big data in my job, and I have a skill of pandas and numpy, right? So then I will tell them, okay, you should learn PySpark. Right, you know pandas and numpy and a little bit of SQL, so it will be easier for you to learn PySpark. You should learn PySpark, right? So this is a person who has an industry relevant knowledge, who is actually working. He can tell you, right, when you will be doing big data, you'll need some big data tools, and these are the recent tools. Right? And at AlmaBetter, I got to meet some great instructors, which further became my mentors as well. And even if I still have some doubts, if you still get some doubt, and in field of data science, I've also seen that you have to continuously learn, right? You cannot sit, okay, I've learned this much, and I can just now wait for 2-3 years, right? Just with this skill set, it's not at all possible, right? So even if I have doubts, I connect back with them. I ask my doubts, how should we do this, and it's a great community, right? And actually, AlmaBetter focuses on community-based learning a lot, right? And it has worked for me, right?
Very quick question, and I am expecting a short answer from your side as well. So how did you got to know about this platform itself, right, which you mentioned? Did somebody suggested it to you, or randomly you came to know about it? And the most important point, how did you convince yourself? Because there are enormous number of things are available, right? You could have gone for something else, but why this AlmaBetter?
I would say I fortunately got it, right? Because there are a lot of courses, right? It came in my first search of Google history, like Google search, right? It came there, and it checked all the boxes. Basically, I told you my requirement, right? That I was a working professional. I wanted a course like this. I want industry relevant projects and all those things. It checked all the boxes, right? And I would say the best thing was, right? I think the best thing was that it got a good start, right? Initially we had a good sessions, and those were the things that motivated me, and I followed those principles, and the journey was easy for me, right? If you don't follow those principles that they ask you to do, right, then it will not be that much of easy, right? Because that's the thing, if you are giving their time in that, right, you are giving your 2 hours a day in the lecture and maybe 1.5 hours for assignment, right, then you should also trust the whole process, right? And for me, that was a thing that I got to see, okay, they are putting me in a very good cycle, right? So you have a lecture, like you don't have to think what will happen after a month, right? That's the best thing I like about AlmaBetter. Okay, I don't need to worry about okay, am I studying the right thing? What will my skill set after 1 month? Will I get a job after 6 months or not? I just have to worry about okay, tomorrow class will start at 8 p.m. I have to complete my assignment before that. Again the same thing, again the same thing, again the same thing. So that builds a lot of consistency and discipline in you, right? And that thing I learned along the way. Initially it was just something you can say the vibe of it, right? And it basically checked all of my requirements, and I think the vibe actually worked well, right? Because I learned a lot of key skills from AlmaBetter. The two most thing that I learned was discipline and consistency, right? And consistency, was something like, if you don't complete a task, right? I used to have the mentors used to call us, right? You didn't complete this assignment, right? Why didn't complete this assignment, right? So that sort of attention, right? When you get as a student, right? You understand, okay, this guy is equally contributing to my journey as I want to, right? So what else you can expect from a course?
Awesome, pretty awesome. I think these are the bullet points someone should keep in the mind while picking any course or any platform. So since you mentioned about it, definitely I will provide a link for the AlmaBetter boot camps right in the description, so you can definitely check that out. So moving on to next one, Shubhankit. So you are a recent graduate and bagged a data science role from Accenture AI. So can you share your complete interview process round by round and what type of questions were actually asked? Because I find this kind of interview experience very rare, and most of the folks, at least the freshers, right, hustle a lot. Okay, what will be asked, right? What will be the expectation and how we can prepare. So if you can give your interview experience round by round wise, it will be helpful for the freshers to work on their key areas, right? Okay, as a fresher, this will be expected.
So I had 3 rounds in Accenture. 2 were technical and 1 were the HR round. So the technical round was, I don't know about the other companies, but in Accenture, the people you will be working with, the person who will be your actual manager, they will be taking your interviews, right? Okay. So it would be something like all from your resume. First of all, like a little bit, I think it's important to tell a little bit about Accenture AI, right? That basically Accenture AI means Accenture Applied Intelligence, right? And Applied Intelligence is a term I think they have coined themselves. It covers everything what you really know about data science, right? So it's basically everything Accenture is doing, related to data science comes under that particular team of Accenture AI, right? So you might be working with just SQL and Excel, or you might be building a deep learning model if you just look from a complexity point of view, right? So that was the point, right? So the questions would be asked from your resume, right? There will not be something like external third thing asking, because in data science there are a lot of topics. So the questions will be from your resume, the projects that you did, what problems you faced, right? And how did you tackle those problems? It can be theory, and specifically if I focus on some specific part that you should prepare would be fundamentals, right? Because they know that complex things can be applied, right? And you're also a data science professional, right? So you'll understand ki if I have to implement a machine learning code, right? So it will be 3-4 lines of a code to import that machine learning model and run it and train it, right? But to decide which model to run, right? To decide which metric to choose, right? Those are the fundamental things. To think about bias and variance things, those are the fundamental things, right? Okay. So they focus a lot on that thing, right? And because they think from a long view perspective, they're not they don't want to hurry you in. They would think from a long view perspective that we want someone who is who is coachable, right? Who knows the fundamental really well and will pick up the other skill if they are not there. If they're there, then it's really good, right? So first thing was that, and apart from the the theory questions from my projects, I also had some coding in questions which were directly from data science perspective. It was pandas and SQL, mostly pandas, SQL and NumPy, right? So you are being asked to, it's a normal thing that you'll do in your daily jobs, that you have 4 tables and you are like they'll tell you the structure of 4 tables, and then you have to prepare a specific output table, right? So how would you go from that to that, right? So those type of question, both using Python and both using SQL, right? So those were the technical aspects. And because it's a consulting company, so you should always prepare for case studies, right? And guess estimates if you're a fresher, or puzzles if you're a fresher then.
Okay, cool. I think this is really helpful. It will give a really good idea to the freshers that how they should actually prepare. Else sometimes I have seen they just get stuck to practice more and more on the programming side, or just to somehow mug up the things related to ML algorithms and all these things, right? So this shouldn't happen. And thanks for sharing this experience. Wonderful. And guys, if you also find it insightful and meaningful, then drop a heart in the comment section that whether this interview experience will help you or not. So moving on to next one, and since we talked about the interview part, right? So since you have been into that fresher phase as well, So to crack the data science role as a fresher, what would be the expectation of the interviewers from the candidate? Since you are still like anyone who is just 1.5 years or at max 2 years of experience, what would be the expectation? Because still the freshers are learning, they don't have a very vast knowledge of the data understandings or all those complexities. So what's the actual expectation in the interviews?
I would not say it's something huge, right? I would not say ki you should know everything, you should have done some great projects or something, but it's the, for me, the learning attitude and the kind of a, fundamental knowledge you have, that matters a lot, right? Because things can be taught, right? But attitude is something that you possess, right? So that is for a fresher, that is most important thing, specifically if you are in a consulting field, right? For service based company, because you will be dealing with clients. You will be dealing with clients who don't know anything about data science, and you are making a data science solution for them, right? Okay. So how do we explain these things to them? Those things are really important. And skill wise, I would say if you have a significant level of data science knowledge plus a good coachable attitude, this person is something who I can work with, right? We'll study some part together. Because what I see is most people that are working in data science, even you and me, we are also studying, right?
Yeah.
Maybe next project that I get in Accenture, maybe it would be something that I've never heard of, right? Might be I heard of, but I've never studied or never done, right? So I'll have to take up some time specifically from my job times, and I'll have to study it, right? So I'll study it along with my team members, right? So that attitude is really important. And skill set, fundamental knowledge of skill set is really good, right? If you have a really good skill set, that is like plus situation for you. But don't expect ki I should know everything, starting from, let's say, analytics in Excel to deep learning or convolutional neural networks, right? You should know, like, whatever part you should know that confidently, and whatever part you don't know, you should accept that okay, this is something I don't know. And because what I see is sometimes people send me resumes to just see okay, can you refer me this in Accenture, right? And I see the resume and I see like, okay, you have written 5 projects of deep learning, right? That's it. And those are all I know from where they are. I have done the same courses which you have done, right? So, and the interview will detect these things, right? And I know ki, okay, you have done these courses, you implemented the code, but fundamentally it will not be that good, right? Because you're just doing data science for 1 year, it's not possible, right? So let's be a little practical. And and I'll ask people to be honest, right? Be honest, just let them know that you are interested in this field, and this is what you have done in your 1 year or 2 year of experiences, and this is where you want to be, and you are ready to learn everything, right? And that's I guess it's the most important thing.
Yeah, totally agreed on those points, right? Just be real, be practical, explore things practically, don't mug up and don't try to copy paste the same things and old school things and accommodate in your resume. That's not gonna create any impact. So definitely thank you so much, Shubhankit, to emphasize on those points, because that was the reason to bring you on the channel, right? So that at least freshers can connect with your story. Okay, this guy is also just a 2020 graduate, and how he moved into the data science, so they can
just also one more thing, Shashank, when I was in college, I was rejected in 12 and 13 interviews, campus interviews. Wow. Right? So I think I would be the right person to answer this question. But every interview I learned from, right? Every interview I used to come back, I used to write the pen and paper points. Okay, these are the things I missed, right? Before mourning over that interview, I just write those points and then I'll mourn about that interview, because of course human nature. But that helped me a lot actually, right? Ki I tried a lot of experiment thing in my interview, ki this might work, but it all came down ki you have to be technically good, then only it will work, right? So that cool. People say ki okay, there is a big factor of luck in interview, so that luck will start working when you are prepared, right? So you have to be little prepared before the luck start working.
So moving on to the next part, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. So I saw that after your college, you worked on your LinkedIn profile as well, which is definitely really great. You build a good network. You also created content over LinkedIn. So what was your motivation behind it? Because most of the freshers think LinkedIn is just a job applying platform, right? Don't take much seriously, and right. So what was your motivation, and how did you create that kind of impactful portfolio?
So when I was in college, like my college was in Jaipur, right? So Jaipur has a great great environment for theaters, right? So I had a stage fear initially, right? So I just wanted to overcome that, so I joined the dramatic society of my college and I started writing stories. I also tried a hand at acting and kind of those kind of thing. So that created a little bit of curiosity ki, yeah, this is a good field that you can explore yourself as a person, you can explore your curiosity and all those things, right? And but then you got into a job and then like it was not something you can pay that much attention to, right? So I found a platform, like I searched from a platform, okay, what platform I can write on, right? And LinkedIn was a right platform for me because in other platforms there is a lot of noise, right? So but on LinkedIn it's something like you can say it's kind of a clean, a little bit of clean, right? And if people don't want to listen to you, they'll scroll, they won't say something in the comments, so that is the thing. And also you can learn a lot from people on LinkedIn. So that was my idea to create content on LinkedIn. And when I started posting, so I saw okay, even I'm getting 10 reaction on my post, so these are 10 people that I don't know, right? These are 10 people that I might not meet ever in my life personally, right? But they read my content, they reacted on it, right? So that gives me a lot of satisfaction, right? I never count my followers, I never see the count of likes my post get, but even if it's 1 or 2 likes, right, that makes me a little happy ki, okay, somebody liked it, right? Great. So it's that's my motivation to do on LinkedIn,
right? Even I made those kind of mistakes because our placement cell told us that, hey, just create account on LinkedIn because for professional it is required, and that's how I created it. But the actual value, right, about LinkedIn I understood when I started writing content, and now like many of you can see how things actually change for me, for my life, everything, right? So you start anything, right, where you can share your knowledge, you can build a network of like-minded people. So let me know in the comment section whether your LinkedIn profile is updated or not, or like do you have a LinkedIn account or not? Just let me know in the comment section. Accenture AI, definitely a service-based company, right? And at least from the freshers perspective, I have seen most of us are aspired to work in the product-based companies. And even in our beginning phase, we try to focus, okay, it should be a 20-30 lakhs of package with this many companies or company tags. But what kept you motivated just to kickstart your career with a service-based company? Why not to think about those product-based companies?
It will not be anything specific about the product-based company. It would be more of the advantages and the positive thing that I saw in service-based companies, right? And it was something like in product-based company, if I'm working for making an app or something like that, then it would be like one particular domain, right? And I'll be working there for 2 years, 3 years maybe, or maybe more than that, or maybe my whole life. But in service-based company, 6 months I'm working in automobile, then 7 months I'm working in let's say telecommunication, then 8 months I'm working in energy, right? So that was the thing that motivated me a lot ki, yeah, there is a lot to learn. And the other thing is that you are more connected to business people in service based company, right? And the problem that comes to you is a little complex, right? They have a data, they have a problem, they don't know what to do. Now you have to figure out each steps, and the solution is different. If my client is a energy plant, then they might be happy with the dashboard, they might be just happy with the Power BI dashboard, and it might solve the solution, they might see relevant KPIs and all. And if my client is an e-commerce company, right, so their ask would be different, right? Their solution would be complex, more people will be required to make that, right? So but maybe the budget of these two projects would be same, so there's these type of things kind of interested me a lot ki, yeah, there's a lot to things to do, and that is the thing. And regarding the the package thing, then I see if you have a right skills, then service pays you a lot. I mean, if that's the case, then you should try Accenture AI, McKinsey or BCG, then you will see that okay, it's not that big.
Like I have also been into that phase, right? I can totally relate with your points, right, which you mentioned, and those are the amazing benefits of working in the service based companies. So I would personally say, if you get a chance to start with a service based company or consulting, just do that. The broad exposure on the data domain, soft skills, communication, client interaction is a wonderful thing you can ever get in the service and consulting firm. These things will be really hard to find in the product based companies. I'm telling you with my experience. I have worked in first service based company. I have worked at McKinsey as well. So I know that whole culture and how it matches. So great, Shubhankit. And last point, right? And obviously, let's talk something related to the salary as well. So you have been, right? You interviewed with different companies, right? So as an entry level data scientist, how much salary service based companies especially are giving to the freshers nowadays?
So I don't think there is any upper bound, right? But there is a lower bound, right? If you are having good skills, and I'm not just speaking about the big four, right? I'll add a little bit more
Average,
known
like
companies,
including,
and right. So that I think you can expect easily expect more than 12, right?
More than 12 LPA.
Yeah.
Amazing.
From analytical consulting point of view, right? If you are in operations or something like that, then I have no idea about it. But if you are working as a data science consultant or an analytical consultant or a business intelligence person, and you have a good skill, right, it should be more than 12.
Great insights, Shubhankit, and this will definitely motivate all the freshers who just are aspired to become a data scientist and want to kickstart their journeys. So very informative, Shubhankit, all the experience you have shared with us, your journey, and important points about the data science, Accenture AI, right, and how to prepare everything. That was this podcast was like full of information. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I am expecting same from the audience side. They will also find it really insightful. And you can also connect with Shubhankit. I will provide his LinkedIn profile link in the description. Just catch up and have a chat with him and learn from him as well. So from my side and from the entire audience side, thank you so much for joining us. Lovely interacting with you.
Thank you, Shashank. Thanks for this time, and I cannot expect a better thing to do this. Like, this is something first time I'm doing something like this on LinkedIn, and what to do it like with a person who I started, like who I look forward to while creating either content on LinkedIn, and you were one of the creators that I followed. This guy is doing something, I can do the same, right? I can follow what path he is going on.
Means a lot. Thank you so much. So that's what I had for you guys in this podcast. I'm pretty sure you would have enjoyed this amazing transition from the CRM domain and the non-CS field to the data science, and that too in Accenture AI. If yes, you find it informative, then don't forget to click the like button. And also, if you are new to the channel, then just smash the subscribe button and press the notification icon. I will see you guys in the next week with another amazing stuff. Till then, just keep exploring and keep loving data.